DocTalk is brought to you by Merck Animal Health, the science of healthier animals.
Hey folks, welcome to DocTalk. We're going to have a great show today. It's a discussion we have every year. It's how do we supplement minerals and make sure the mineral status of our cow herd is adequate. We have Dr. Chris Reinhardt from Kansas State University with us today over in the Department of Animal Science. Stay tuned and enjoy the show after these messages.
As dependable as the sunrise, in dairy parlors, open pastures, on ranches and feed yards across America, a place where reputation is more than a name, where the science of healthier animals is a way of life. It's the responsibility that drives who we are and what we do. Every decision, every day. It's your livelihood and our responsibility.
Closed caption brought to you by AgriLabs, the perfect pairing of performance and value.
This segment brought to you by the new Hired Hand Portable Cow Sprayer. For more information, visit cowsprayer.com.
Dr. Reinhardt, welcome to the show.
Great to be here.
Well, folks, again, this is Dr. Chris Reinhardt. He's a friend and colleague here. He's a ruminant nutritionist. He's our state feedlot extension specialist for the state of Kansas, but does a lot of work in ruminant nutrition, whether it's cows on pasture, stocker cattle, feedlot cattle, and we're going to talk about minerals.
It's important.
Yep, it certainly is. So, as we're setting up for the show, you kind of have a way that you attack this, and it would be natural for us to just do that during the show. But first, you want to figure out what it is the cow needs, right? Determine that cow's requirements. And how do you go about doing that?
Well, the main thing is what stage of production is she in? Is she a dry cow gestating a calf, or is she lactating? Those are kind of the two biggies. And when they're lactating, their requirement for virtually everything, energy, protein, water, and minerals all kind of go through the roof. And so during lactation, especially early lactation, we've got to really pay attention to the mineral balance.
So the first thing is get the physiological state. And those are going to be, is she growing? Is she mature? Gestating? Lactating? And use all of those to determine the requirements. So as the year changes, or as the physiological status in a cow herd changes, our requirements are going to change.
That's exactly right.
And what about size of cows? Does that play a role as much in minerals as it does in energy or things of that nature?
Definitely. Our cow herd has changed since your granddaddy's days, and these bigger cows have a greater requirement, again, for about everything, and we've got to take that into account when it comes time for feeding mineral.
Okay. And so talk to me a little bit about the differences in some of the changes that you see that the ones we need to stay particularly in focus on.
Phosphorus is the one that always comes to mind when we're talking about mineral. Going back into the 1930s, 1940s was when we really figured out, especially in the range country, the open range country, we get into the dry, late summer, fall, winter months, phosphorus in the forage base goes to almost nothing. And in the 30s and 40s, we found some significant phosphorus deficiencies, and it causes tremendous problems. Cows just flat wouldn't breed if they didn't have enough phosphorus. And so in the decades after that, we really learned a lot about how to make sure those cows were getting the right, number one, phosphorus levels, but then also that led to better understanding of the other minerals as well.
Okay. So when we start to think about minerals and we start to think about, is there a difference in stage of the forage in the animal's requirements?
Definitely. If in the ideal circumstance the forage is at its perfect peak in terms of quality and quantity available, and that cow is eating a lot of that beautiful green forage, depending on where you live, it nearly, if not totally, meets that cow's requirement. However, if we're off sync and we're calving in late winter, early spring, before the grass comes up, we're going to have to think about supplementation.
Cool. Well, let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to discuss more about determining what we need to supplement that cow with after we get the requirements nailed down, based on forage, based on feed, many different things to weigh in when you're considering mineral supplementation for your cows. You're watching Doc Talk. More after these messages.
This Meet the Future Veterinarian is brought to you by Zuprevo. Choose confidence. Choose Zuprevo for BRD treatment. As the son of a dairy veterinarian in Wisconsin, Adlai Schuler spent much of his teenage years in the milking parlor and calf shed. Time with his dad inspired him to become a veterinarian, and his later work on large and small dairy operations solidified his career path. With his veterinary degree and advanced training in dairy nutrition, Adlai brings added value to the farmers he works with.
Some call it a come-from-behind victory, an unlikely win, a reversal of fortune, snatching victory from the jaws of defeat. This is our moment, our victory dance, because we choose confidence. We choose Zuprevo for BRD treatment. Ask your veterinarian to prescribe Zuprevo. Zuprevo is a fast-acting, long-lasting BRD treatment that you can count on to get the job done. Choose confidence. Choose Zuprevo from Merck Animal Health.
Horn flies are a nuisance and a production loss, so getting rid of the problem is important. What I like about the vet gun is you don't have to go out there weekly to treat them with a topical fly applicant. It has some duration, it lasts. You see the increase in weight gain, it just works. I've used it on our 1,500 cow-calf operation, and it makes me more confident in saying, hey, this product's gonna work on your operation too.
No matter where, no matter why, the Veterinary Health Center at Kansas State University is committed to providing quality patient care to animals and exceptional customer service to their owners. From routine checkups to emergency and specialty care, our world-renowned specialists and experienced professionals are here to discover, to teach, and to heal.
Let us know.
How can I help?
How can we help?
This segment brought to you by the new Hired Hand Portable Cow Sprayer. For more information, visit cowsprayer.com.
Hey folks, welcome back to Doc Talk. Dr. Dan and Dr. Chris. We're here at Kansas State University. Dr. Reinhardt is part of the Department of Animal Science and Industries, and I'm over here at the College of Vet Med. We do a lot of work together, and it's fun for me to have Chris on the show. Truly a servant leader for our beef industry and a lot of things that he does, and good friend. So let's talk about the minerals. And as we left, we were discussing, and you said, hey, we didn't get that covered well enough. Let's step back. Let's cover the cyclic nature of forages that we have in the pasture and making decisions.
You think about your standing forage base, and in most parts of the country, in the spring of the year, we've got tremendous volume, but also tremendous quality. And that forage base at its peak has almost everything that cow needs, even if she's at the peak of lactation. Heavy milking cows, maybe not, but if we get her need off synchrony with the value of that grass, we have to start talking about supplementation, because after the peak of that grass, whether it's April, May, June, depending on where you live, it starts to decline in quality, lower protein, lower energy, and lower phosphorus, lower trace mineral content. And that's when we have to start thinking about supplementation, free choice minerals, however you want to work that. We get into late summer, fall, winter, and the forage quality is bottomed out. That's when we're going to be bringing in supplemental feeds, regardless of what you have available in your area. And then we have to start taking into account the mineral value of those supplemental feeds.
Okay. And so, yeah, so now we're talking about, two totally different. So we have our forage base, and then if you're adding energy or protein, you may be dragging the minerals in with it as well.
Exactly.
Okay. So where do we go from there? I mean, so now you've determined the requirements of the cow based on the physiological status. You've looked at your forage quality and quantity, and now you're supplementing or you're not. Now what do you do?
Exactly. We figure out what the cow needs, we figure out what the cow has available on her own, and then we've got to shore up whatever difference there might be in the form of whether it be free choice mineral or force-fed mineral.
Seems like pretty much simple math.
That's what it comes down to. When we get a curveball are things like drought, or maybe if you're calving real early, maybe you've gone to a late season calving. But drought is the real curveball, where we can't rely on what the grass normally provides, and we're going to be bringing in some supplemental feeds, maybe even midsummer, things of that nature.
So how do I go about, let's say I want to find out what I have in the pasture. What's a good technique to do?
Typically, your local extension office will have really good local values for that local forage base. You can also take forage clippings. The real critical one is to sample your hay supply, because that's going to vary year by year, cutting by cutting, and we kind of have to know what we have so we know how much we need to supplement, and we don't want to over supplement as well.
Well, when you think about how much cows are worth, how much feed's worth, you know, it's a pretty simple task to go out and take some forage clippings. We used to use a Frisbee to get random samples throughout the pasture and get 10 samples, throw a Frisbee, go take a 1 yard by 1 yard clipping, mix those clippings together to get a good representation of what we have out there in the pasture.
Exactly. You have to know what you have.
Yep. When we come back, we're going to do more with Dr. Reinhardt here on defining some of the things to help you determine what you need to do for mineral supplementation in your cow herd. You're watching DocTalk. We'll be back after these messages.
The BQA Tip of the Day, sponsored by Beringer Ingelheim Vetmedica, Inc.
I'm Tom Knopfsinger. This is the BQA Tip of the Day. We all should understand how important handler position is to cattle well-being and confidence. So the way that we ask cattle to leave a corner of a pen, the way we ask cattle to leave a holding pen has the chance to give these cattle more confidence, or it can actually confuse them. So as you get the chance to ask cattle to leave a holding pen, satisfy these requirements. Make sure cattle can see their destination and their guidance simultaneously, and then know that cattle always crave to come half around you. So prepare their minds to go half around you and send them in the correct destination.
It's easy to spot the man who uses Synanthic. With lower volume and less waste, Synanthic steps up your deworming routine. Get more deworming with less dewormer at Synanthic.com.
This hog is Hanover hoof for meal made from U.S. soybeans. Now, one hog isn't that impressive, but suppose we add another, and another, and another. Before long, you've got billions of hungry customers around the world all clamoring for the same thing. Our soybeans. Learn more about the billion-dollar appetite of animal agriculture at BeyondTheElevator.com. Brought to you by America's soybean farmers and their checkoff.
Healthy cows start with the new Hired Hand automatic livestock sprayer. Rancher invented to provide an efficient alternative to pour-on and injectable parasite management systems. The portable design allows cattle to treat themselves head to hoof. Strategic device placement with pass-through activation technology takes the stress out of parasite treatment for cattle and the rancher, leaving more time to tend to other vital tasks on the farm. To learn more, visit cowsprayer.com. The new Hired Hand makes healthy cows easy.
Broadband has become as important to us as highways. That is why DocTalk is teaming up with NTCA, the Rural Broadband Association, and rural broadband companies like Blue Valley Telecommunications in fighting for quality broadband access through the program Smart Rural Communities.
I don't think we have any idea what's coming in the future. I couldn't have imagined 5 years ago what we're doing today. So in 2 years, I would guess there's things we can't imagine that we're going to be doing.
To learn more, visit ntca.org/smart or bluevalley.net.
The new Better Horses Network is worldwide. Presented by Lucas Oil. Featuring worldwide radio and TV with iconic hosts like Al Dunning, Sharon Camarillo, Ernie Rodina, Lindy Birch, and Craig Cameron. With American Cowboy, Horse and Rider, Brushy Creek, Cavenders, and Ride TV. Worldwide radio and TV. The all-new Better Horses Network.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
This segment is brought to you by the Beef Quality Assurance Program and the Kansas Beef Council, improving animal care and beef safety for more than 20 years.
Folks, welcome back to Doc Talk. Dr. Dan Thompson here with Dr. Chris Reinhardt. He is a ruminant nutritionist and our state feedlot extension specialist in the state of Kansas over in the Department of Animal Science and Industries. And Chris, we're talking about supplementing these cows, and we tend to focus on getting those cows through the winter, or we tend on focusing on body condition score on our cows. But there are some things that we can do supplementing the cow that would have a positive impact on calf health and calf vigor when they're born.
Exactly. We do spend a tremendous amount of time on making sure that cow calves in an optimum body condition score because of how that's going to affect the quality of her colostrum and how much she makes, her ability to cycle back in a timely fashion. But the thing that often gets neglected is the fact that that cow's milk has very little to almost no trace mineral content whatsoever. So basically that calf is born with all the trace minerals he's going to have until he goes out and starts gathering feed on his own. And so we really want to make sure we've got that cow in a good trace mineral status throughout gestation, especially the last trimester of gestation, to make sure that calf is born with an adequate supply.
And liver stores and things of that nature. And I think that, you know, we understand colostrum, but basically, you know, whether you call it fetal programming or call it just good, solid cow nutrition the last 90 days, it's vitally important for both liver mineral stores and building that colostrum for the cow.
Exactly. The future, the entire life of that calf is going to be determined possibly in the last 90 days of gestation.
Right. And, you know, it's funny because when we were up at Cowboy College, you gave a talk on pre-calving and post-calving nutrition. And so I asked you, what else is there?
What else is there?
I cover nutrition during calving. Dr. Reinhardt talks before and after. It's where my expertise lies. But anyway, you know, post-calving then, you know, talk to me a little bit about, you know, obviously the calcium and phosphorus are important because of the lactation demands. That peak of lactation occurs out there, what, 2-3 weeks post-calving?
Exactly. And we spend a lot of time looking at the cows, monitoring body condition, and that is absolutely vital for the future productivity of that cow. But the other thing that we can't see is her trace mineral status. And if she's even marginally deficient, that could affect breedback.
And it's amazing to me because people don't understand how forgiving the cow's body is of robbing, whether it's mineral stores or energy stores to support lactation for that calf. They'll give it all up.
The system is made to where she can store during times of plenty and steal from it later during times of deficit.
And so keeping a good watch on not just your body condition scores, but making sure you have that macro mineral supplementation there for calcium and phosphorus, especially for lactation and breedback is vitally important. When we come back, we'll touch on the trace minerals with Dr. Chris Reinhardt and your cow herd. More after these messages.
I've always had an interest in care for the animals and their well-being. Really what we want to do is work hard to eliminate as much feedlot lameness or beef cattle lameness as possible.
How we feed a cow on a daily basis can not only have daily effects, but they can also have long-term effects on claw health, reproductive performance, mammary health, all of those factors as we look at the inputs and the response that the animal has to what we feed them.
When animals have adequate intake of effective nutrients, we take care of the immune system and performance follows. It's important that the consumers understand our dedication to the well-being of these animals.
Beringer Ingelheim Vetmedica Inc. knows the importance of beef quality assurance and asks you to step up and get certified. Go to bqa.org for details.
No matter where, no matter why, the Veterinary Health Center at Kansas State University is committed to providing quality patient care to animals and exceptional customer service to their owners. From routine checkups to emergency and specialty care, our world-renowned specialists and experienced professionals are here to discover, to teach, and to heal.
Let us know.
How can I help?
How can we help?
This segment is brought to you by the Beef Quality Assurance Program and the Kansas Beef Council, improving animal care and beef safety for more than 20 years.
Hey folks, welcome back to DocTalk. Dr. Dan here with Dr. Chris Reinhardt, and we're at Kansas State University where Dr. Reinhardt is a ruminant nutritionist over in the Department of Animal Science, and I am a veterinary nutritionist over here in the College of Vet Med. But this is something that we could talk about for days, and Dr. Reinhardt has done a great job at our cowboy colleges that Drovers puts on of doing the cow-calf nutrition and growing feeder calf nutrition. But let's talk about the trace minerals, because let's get into what are some of the key trace minerals that you look at in diets for cattle, and then how we incorporate those, or what are some of the ways that we can utilize different types of supplementation for these cows.
You're exactly right, Doc. The cow herd has changed, the cattle producer has changed over time, but in the big picture, the cow really hasn't, and her requirements are the same year after year, and so that's why it's so important that we go back and revisit these things year after year. The trace minerals that I like producers to pay attention to really are what I call the big three: copper, zinc, and selenium. Okay. There are a number of others that are important, that are needed, that are required, that may be deficient, but those three we've learned tremendous value for health and reproduction, both of the cow and of the calf.
So talk to me a little about different ways of supplementing the minerals and out in the pasture, and we have tubs, we have trace mineral, we have loose trace mineral, we have blocks. Any preferences or any?
Well, really the critical elements, there's two things the rancher needs to take care of it. One is making sure the formulation is adequate or ideal for their forage base and their part of the world. There's certain parts of the country that are extremely deficient in maybe selenium or copper or zinc or maybe all three. So you've got to make sure the formula is right for your geography. But then the other element that's even more critical is how well do the cows eat it? The best formula in the world, if the cows don't eat it, is useless to you as a rancher. So you've got to monitor consumption year after year and make sure the cows are eating the right amount to make sure they're balancing that deficiency.
And I'm sure that there are weather patterns that are, more conducive to one type of supplementation versus another as well. Large rainfall versus no rainfall and different things to that nature.
Some of the tubs that are mineral-based tubs require humidity to be soft enough for a cow to lick enough of that product. So they work great in the humid areas of the country, kind of like where we are right now, and to the southeast. You go to the arid parts of the west, where especially midsummer on, there's just not enough humidity to soften that product, and so consumption is going to be affected by that. And you just have to account for it.
Great information, things we need to know, kind of a summary. We need to determine the requirements of the cow, physiological status, weight of the cow. Don't skimp on mineral last 90 days prior to calving because it helps the calf have increased vigor. Know what your forage quality and quantity is. Get your macro minerals, calcium and phosphorus. Make sure that we have cows breed back, micro minerals, but then match your supplementation process or form to your environment. If you want to know more about DocTalk, you can find us on the web at www.doctalktv.com. Always work with your local veterinarian. Thanks for watching the show. I'm Dr. Dan Thompson, and I'll see you down the road.
Closed caption brought to you by AgriLabs, the perfect pairing of performance and value.
For more information about this program or previous programs, go to DocTalkTV.com. DocTalk was brought to you by Merck Animal Health, the science of healthier animals.